Hello, everyone. Today I get the privilege to talk about a person that is very, very significant in their Christian world and ministry through Christ. And his name is Reinhard Bonnke. And if you don't know him, hope and I hope this touches your heart because he touched a lot of people's hearts, and he followed God's plan and God's voice originally from the start. And I'm going to talk to you about his background from beginning to end and just give you a good background knowledge of who this guy is and what he actually did. And the first question that is listed in this project is, how did Reinhard's Bonnke's life start? And Reinhard Bonnke grew up in a Christian home. He was born in 1940 in Königsberg, Germany, and at age 9 he gave his life to Christ. And at age 10, something very crucial, which is the biggest point of his background, is God gave him a vision and a point. It's a statement that God gave him, and he said to him that Africa shall be saved. And that stuck with him through his whole life and through his whole mission that he willingly gave his life for, to serve God. And this saying that God gave him, he stuck with it. And the second question is, what challenges did he face in life? And one of the struggles that he faced was financial struggles, starting with ministry and a lack of early support or large crowds of people with their support, and even rejection. Some people claim that he was too emotional, but despite these pushbacks or negative comments towards him, he kept going. He ignored what the people had to say negatively about, just stop, or you're not doing this right, or you could be doing this better, or anything like that. And he pushed that aside to keep following what God had for him. And the third question is, what was his main message? And his main message, in quotations, is, the gospel is not good news unless it is preached, and it is not good news if it gets there in time. Wow. When I first read this, I was genuinely shocked, because that's so true. Because the gospel, if it's not preached, if it's not told to people, it's not getting to the point it should be. Because the good news, the gospel of what Jesus Christ did, not just for me, not just for you, but for everyone. And that needs to be preached, that needs to be taught about, that's what we're called to do as Christians, is to go out and just preach the good news of Christ and who he is and what he's done. But the fourth question is, how is he impacting the kingdom of God? And before he passed away in 2019, he led more than 79 million people to Christ throughout his ministry, which is insane. And that was called Christ for All Nations. Even today, his legacy still carries on. His ministry still goes and grows, and his impact is multi-generational. It's just disputing throughout the whole world still. It hasn't stopped because of his encouragement and his faith and his faithfulness to God. And the fifth question is, how is the power of God demonstrated through his ministry? And some amazing miracles were witnessed by people, and the testimonies of those people who got healed still talk about their testimony of being healed, and that is the blind seeing, the deaf hearing, the lame walking, even stories of people rising from the dead. And those people who experience that have told, like I was saying, have told that testimony of being healed. So it's not a made up thing, it's a real life telling you, I was blind and now I can see through the healingness of God. And The sixth question is the demonstration of God's power done through a healing ministry? And yes, Bronk's ministry was full of supernatural healings. He always emphasized and highlighted that it was not his power, but God's, and God's power working through the simpleness of his faith. Miracles were never the main point of view and focus that everyone needed to focus on. It was about Jesus. Jesus was the main center, but they drew to know Christ through miracles or through them being healed. And the seventh question is two elements of his ministry that impacted me. I would say his bold faith. His faith encouraged me to not have such a, I would almost say lazy faith, because I feel like I can be lazy, my faith, whenever we have access, especially here in America. We live in a free country with free will, and the fact that we can worship God and go to church and tell people about Christ freely without persecution is so beautiful. And I feel like through his faith of going throughout the world encouraged me to have that same faith, knowing that this man was obedient to God through his faith. And I want to be like that. And I would say his passion for people and their lives and their souls. He definitely saw the bigger picture of not seeing past the things God sees, but giving away the things that he saw and focused on what God sees in people. And through that, I think he saw how much people matter and how much he didn't matter, but how their lives mattered. It wasn't about him, it was about God and what he called him to do with a willing and faithful heart to reach people and then them reach others, if that makes sense. And then the eighth and final question is one element I want to apply in my life. And like I was talking about, I want to apply the obedience factor of him, because it's all through obedience of what he did. It was not his power, but God. And God knew that he could have a man like him, like Bonnke, to go throughout the world, not be afraid, not care what people say or think, but be willing, because he knows God is all that matters at the end of the day. And when he has God by his side and God working with him and supplying all his needs and fighting with him, what does he have to fear? So through his obedience, it encouraged me to have that same obedient heart and to understand that with God, all things are possible because he has your back. And I just encourage you all that through the conclusion of this story about Bonnke is just that I just encourage y'all just to keep being obedient in your faith, as hard as it can be sometimes and as nerve-wracking as it is. Just keep being bold in that faith with Christ, because he can use that, because you have nothing to fear. When you give your life to Christ, your life is saved. And when your life is saved, you will leap with joy because you have nothing to fear, because God, the creator of everything, has your back and has your life in his hands. But thank y'all for listening. God bless y'all, and y'all have a great one.